विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतभूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात्कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. So we completed the summary of the first chapter. And now we'll be starting a second chapter along with the Bhashyam. And in this chapter, Lord Yama conducts a little more serious discussion on the nature of Atma. This has been a view that the first chapter concentrates more on a adhikariktam. It has been described. If you know, verse 18 to 25 of the second Valli definitely describes about the nature of Atma. So that is subject matter. But here, a little more elaboration, little with a different presentation. This has been done. And so there were, so the main teaching of KathaUpanishad is in the second chapter is presented in this first two vallis of this chapter. And the nature of Jiva and its oneness with this Paramatma are clearly presented here. And in this second chapter, first valli, the first two verses, it starts with the preparation for gaining this knowledge. So they prescribe the sadhanam for turning the mind inward, right? The mind is extrovert. It is a obstacle. One is not able to recognize as one is due to some obstacle in the mind. Recognition has to take place in mind. One is not able to recognize, appreciate, one is not able to assimilate, one is not able to understand as one is definitely due to a obstacle. And that obstacle has been narrated in the first two verses of this first valli of second chapter. 2:1:1, 2:1:2. Right? And that is extrovertedness. An extrovert mind definitely seeks various objects. In fact, when he is seeking something in the world, he is really seeking himself. If you are seeking yourself, then you cannot seek outside. Right? If you are seeking yourself, it's right here. You should not seek outside, but the senses are made extrovert, and through the senses, this experiencer, the knower, the individual, jiva, basically wants, search search fullness, search security, search well-being. So while relating to the world, experiencing the world, he's trying to get the well-being, the secure self. But that is not available there. If And therefore, because he doesn't know himself, he is seeking out. That seeking out itself, which is called extrovertedness, which is called a lack of vairagyam, itself becomes an obstacle for the recognition of, for non recognition of oneself. That is what the first two verses it is going to talk about. We'll be seeing that in detail. Let's go now to the verses. And let's go to that Bhashyam. I think page 234 in the Bhashyam. Page 234. No, page 235, 236 perhaps. Page 236. Right? Do you get it? Page. Yeah, yes. Esha Sarveshu 236, page 236. Yeah. Esha Sarveshu Bhuteshu गूढ़ोत्मान प्रकाशते दृश्यते तु अग्रया बुद्ध्या इति उक्तम् कः पुनः प्रतिबन्धः अग्रया बुद्धेः येन तदभावाद् आत्मा न दृश्यते इति तद अदर्शन कारण प्रदर्शनार्था वल्ली आरभ्यते विज्ञाते हि श्रेयः प्रतिबंध कारणे तद अपनयनाय यत्नः आरब्धुं शक्यते न अन्यथा इति. So this is a portion we have to see first. Iyam vallihi arabhyate. This valli begins. And Upanishad has said previously, where in 132, first chapter, third valli, 12th mantra, what? Eshah sarveshu bhuteshu gudotmana prakashate drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi. That has been said. Pashakara quotes this. Pashakara actually connects the first chapter and second chapter because second chapter is beginning now. First chapter is over. So he's giving a connection. Upanishad doesn't give a connection. Upanishad just goes. But Acharya gives a connection. So Eshah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Gudotmana Prakashate Drishyate tu Agreya Buddhya iti Uktam. Means Upanishad has previously said, iti Uktam. Means Upanishad has previously said that even though the Atma is present in the hearts of everyone, well, yet it is hidden. Esha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Gudaha. It is hidden in everyone, as though. And so, na prakashate. Na prakashate means, well, it cannot be recognized. Even though Atma is equally present in everyone, as the very I, one recognizes I, and you know I is. Other things are there or not, you may not know. But I am, there will not be any doubt regarding existence of I. Means definitely you know you are. So you have some knowledge also of I, and you know your existence also. But you don't know as you are. So, therefore, I is not known as it is. Not that I is not known. I as it is not known. Aham brahmasmi iti na janati. Why it is like that? Well, because drishyate agraya buddhya sukshmaya. Therefore, basically, so agraya buddhya, with a single pointedness, one who has this mind, which is single pointedness, focusing on the self, and sukshmaya buddhya. So one who is having a discriminative capacity, doing a atmanatma viveka, that kind of a buddhi is required. So drishyate tu agraya buddhya. The person who has a single pointedness, and also one who has a discriminative ability to do atma ahankara viveka, atma anatma viveka, drishyate. For such a person definitely recognizes this. Kaf punaha pratibandha agreya buddhehe. Then what is that obstacle because of which yena tad abhavat? If agreya buddhya is by the person who has this kind of a buddhi, if he is able to recognize Atma as he is, as the Atma is, as I is, then many people are not able to recognize. Why? Kaf punaha pratibandha. What is that obstacle? Right? Because of which there is no agreya buddhya, there is no single pointedness, there is no discriminative ability. So, yena tad abhavat, tad buddhi abhavat. Such a kind of a buddhi is not there. Atma na drishyate. Because therefore, Atma is not, nadrishyate means Atma is not perceived, but Atma is not recognized as it is. Iti. Well, this is iti. Tad adarshana karana pradarshanaartha valli arabhyate. So to show the cause for the non-recognition, right? Atma adarshana karana pradarshanartha valli. This valli basically wants to show the cause of the non-recognition of the self as it is. Wants to show. If that pratibandha is there, you will not have agre buddhi, agra buddhi, sukshma buddhi. You won't have it. And therefore, you should know that pratibandha, so you can remove it. And you will also get that single pointedness, you will get a discriminative ability, and you will be also able to recognize the Atma as it is. Because this Atma is sarveshu bhuteshu, which is present equally in everyone in the form of I. Therefore, everyone should be able to recognize, but because of this pratibandha, is not able to recognize. So tad adarshana karana pradarsanartha, this valli, so valli arabhyate, this valli is being started to show the cause for the non-recognition of the Atma. So that is the thing. विज्ञाते हि श्रेयः प्रतिबंधकारणे तद अपनयनाय यत्नः आरब्धुं शक्यते न अन्यथा इति विज्ञाते हि श्रेयः प्रतिबंधकारणे. What gives Shreya? That is, knowing oneself gives Shreya, moksha. I should know that only. Why should I know the pratibandha? Vijnate hi Shreya pratibandha karane. Right? Shreyasaha pratibandha, Shreya pratibandha. So, what is the pratibandha for the Shreyas, for the moksha? Vijnate, Bhashakara says. If that is known, pratibandha, which is what? Karane, that's a karanam. Pratibandha eva karanam. So, this particular obstacle is there which becomes a cause for the non-recognition of oneself, for not getting moksha. Right? Shef pratibandha karane, tad apanayanaya, pratibandha apanayanaya. So basically, only when the obstacle, which is a cause for preventing pratibandha karane, the recognition of Atma, is known. So Shreya Vijnate. So Shreya Pratibandha Karane Vijnate Sati, Tad Apanayanayat, in order to remove that Pratibandha, once you know that this particular Pratibandha is a cause for the non-recognition of oneself, is the cause for not gaining moksha, then Tad Apanayanaya, in order to remove that Pratibandha, Yatnaha Arabdhum Shakyate. One will strive to get rid of that obstacle. Could you follow what I'm saying? Yatnaha Arabdhum Shakyate. Nanyatha. Otherwise, one cannot gain moksha. One cannot recognize oneself as one is. Right? And therefore, yes, one has to know Atma. One need not know Pratibandha, but Pratibandha has to be known. Otherwise, you won't get moksha. You will not be able to know Atma. So first you know what is obstacle, which is a cause for the non-recognition. Clear? So this is how Bhashakara gives a called Sangati, connection of the first chapter with the second chapter by quoting a particular mantra from the second valli of the first chapter, that is 12th mantra. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudaha. Atma gudaha. Hidden. It's not hidden. But Atma is not recognized. It is Atma cannot be hidden. Atma is self-evident, because of which even Buddhi also is known. Everything is known, becomes evident. Everything is objectified naturally by the Atma. Therefore, that Atma cannot be hidden, which is the Adhishthanam for everything, right? And therefore, even when you say the snake is, I mean, the rope is hidden, frankly speaking, rope is not hidden, because the very curvature of the snake is a rope. The very color of the snake is rope. The length of the snake is rope. You are seeing rope, but not able to recognize rope as a rope. Means there is a pratibandha. That is ignorance. And it is ignorance. Ignorance is the main pratibandha. But here, more than that, paranchikani, extrovertedness. That extrovertedness is a pratibandha. You look out. You are searching yourself, but you look out. If you look out, you are searching the self in non-self. You will never get. That's what it is saying. Okay. Now let's read mantra. Paranchikhani vyathrunat swayambhu. Paranchikhani vyathrunat swayambhu. Tasmat parang pashyati. Nantaratman कश्चिद्धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानमैक्षत आवृत्तचक्षुः अमृतत्वमिच्छन्. So Swayambhuhu Vyatrunat, the Lord Swayambhuhu, Swayam Bhavanam Yasya, Swayam Bhavanam Yasya, one who is self-existent, the Parmeshwara, Vyatrunat, well, destroyed what? Khani. Khani means what? Well, sense organs. So the Lord has destroyed this sense organs. What type of sense organs? Paranchi. Paranchi means what? Extrovert. Means by making them extrovert, Lord has created all this. And Lord has created sense organs extrovert. By making the senses extrovert, as though Lord has killed this person. Right? So Lord is responsible for my extrovertedness, not me. Tasmat, therefore, pashyati. So everyone perceives what? Parang. Because since they are extrovert, so everyone always perceives, sees outside. Na antaratman. Never sees oneself. Never sees oneself. Ichanamrutatvam means desiring this immortality, desiring this moksha, kashid dhira. But there is one in million. There is one in million. Everyone is like that. But there is one in million, well, who is a rare discriminative person. Kashid means rare. Avrutta chakshuhu, that rare discriminative person with the withdrawn sense organs, means he has turned away. He is having a dispassion. He is turned away from the sense objects. And avrutta chakshuhu aikshat pratyagatmanam. So, definitely gaining a vairagya, etc. Well, ultimately, he looks inward. We'll see all this. What is it? What does it mean? So, he sees pratyagatmanam. He sees the self as it is. Means a free self. He sees himself as a free self and gains moksha. So it's here the description is given. That what is the pratibandha of for not gaining moksha, right? For not knowing oneself as one is. That is paranchikhani, vetrunat. And so this has been said like that. And so all the time, paranchi. So parag gachanti. All the time they go in the external direction, our senses. And that is means the two opposite direction. Pratyak, parak. Parak means going out. Pratyak means inner, inward. One is an inward journey, one is an outward journey. But what is swabhavika journey? What is natural for everyone? What one is born with is looking outward. So, so one is a swabhavika. It's like a water or river. River finds its own level when it flows towards the sea. When it reaches sea, it reaches to its own level. That's how we always measure the height with the respect to sea level, right? So water which is there from the source, like mountain, etc., it flows down, flows till it reaches its own level called sea level, right? So that is a swabhavika pravritti. If that water has to go up or towards its source, it requires a lot of effort. We require a power. We require horsepower to lift it. Otherwise, this is a swabhavika pravritti going towards a down level. So anyway, so similarly, khani. And Bhashyakara says basically khani means this golakas, you know, all these golakas. And golakas means basically, here we say sense organs, but basically, Bhashyakara says that's a secondary meaning. But golakas, where our sense organs are situated in the gross body, they are called golakas. So those apertures on those, that is khani actually, where indriyanam upalabdha sthanani, where in this golakas, you get, the sense organs are obtained. And they are by nature what? These senses, they are kept externalized. They have to be external because you have to live in the external world. You are born in this world, external world, and you have to live in this external world. And it has to, then senses have to find food to sustain the body. And through senses, we have to relate to the world. Living life is relating to the world. That's what the difference is. To be alive and to live life, that's a difference. To be alive means you need not relate. You can be person in coma or person who is sleeping, he's alive. It is not relating. So we never say he is living a life. Suppose one person is in coma for 2 years. We never say, oh, he's living a good life. We never say he's alive, that's a different thing. So living means your senses are functioning. And functioning means they are relating to the world. Therefore, there is nothing wrong. Ishvara is created like this. That is absolutely fine. So it requires to know its environment, etc. And so indriyanis are exposed to this external world. So paranchikhani. But looks like everything went wrong because it says by making them extrovert, Bhagavan has killed this person. Vyatrunat, this individual, killed this person. So therefore, there is something which is wrong here. And who made it? Swayambhuhu, Swayam Bhavati, or Swayam Bhavanam Yasya Saha, Swayambhuhu. This Parveshwara seems to have destroyed. Seems to. Not that he is created and immediately destroyed. No. As though destroyed. He is living a life, but he looks like he is destroyed. Parak pashyati na antaratman. So he always look out. Na pratyank pashyati. Na pratyak pashyati. It goes after external objects. It does not have any interest to go towards the Atma. In somehow indifference, most of the individuals, more than 99.99999% in the world have lack of interest in spiritual progress, lack of interest in a spiritual path. Everybody has a worldly intelligence. My God, tremendous. Whole world can be here. Whole world can be on this board. You need this instrument, small instrument. Whole world. What is right now going on away in Australia, I can see here, like a cricket match or something else going on in a Gulf. So we all have a great worldly intelligence. We develop a lot of instruments and whatnot, and we know how to communicate with the people. Yeah, that also. Everything we know, very smart. We say we are very smart to communicate in order to not to lose anything in the business. We gain maximum and all that. So low worldly intelligence we have, but somehow spiritual intelligence is not there. There is no insight into what is the goal of the life. No insight. So Kashchit Dhiraha, one among these millions, one among many, Dhiraha, Viveki, one who has this spiritual intelligence, Amrutatvam Ichan, desiring to gain Amrutatvam, desiring to gain freedom. And having discerned, Dhiraha, so he has discerned what I am in for. This life is given for what? He has asked this question. And he found out also. One who finds out what I am in for in this world is a Viveki. He has discerned it also. And then he has also one who has a life of discipline, not life of denials, life of disciplines. Means one who has a say over one's pursuits of senses. Mm. Knowing what one desires, he knows that, well, I need to be qualified. For that, I should have a say over my senses, and thereby he has become a avrutta chakshu. Right? Avrutta chakshu. He has turned away from, he's turned away his senses from the sense objects, etc. So, Avrut Chakshusan Pratyega Atmanam Aikshata, well, he comes to know through the teaching, and that we already saw. Now, we have seen that what kind of acharya is required and all that. Ashcharya Vakta Kushalasya Sabja, Ananya Prokte Gatiratra Nasti, etc. Very well said. Then one will be able to know Pratyagatmanam. Pratyagatmanam Aikshata. He sees Pratyagatma. He sees the inner self. He knows inner self as it is. What is available for seeing is not the self, but non-self. So therefore, aikshata means he recognizes himself. Prapya varan nibodhata, etc. So prapya sheshthan varan nibodhata, etc. You know that uttishta jagrata, prapya varan nibodhata. Dharmaraja said, well, prapya varan, prapya sheshtha acharyan nibodha. Well, having exposed yourself to the great teachers and teachings, traditional teachers, and their teaching, while this dhira, this viveki, definitely will come to know pratyagatmanam, recognizes oneself as Brahman. And so this is a very big, this is called a big pratibandha, where you are seeking really the well-being, you are seeking the joy, you are seeking fullness, you are seeking security, you are seeking peace outside. Great pratibandha. Because it is nature of oneself. Anyway, and that's how there will be absence of a possibility anywhere of knowing. Wherever you know, either you see something, you hear something, you basically taste something, you smell something, you touch something, and think that, well, it will bring a well-being of me. Will bring a security. It will make me a secure self. It will make me a full self. That will never happen. That's a big obstacle. And it is, there, means there is no possibility, well, that you get a means basically for in the external world to know yourself as such in this fashion, being extrovert. So, but everybody is seeking that way, right? Because everybody is extrovert. And so going against them and seeking self inner, seeking this well-being inner, seeking security inner is not swabhavikam. Ah, and that is the reason why they always, anybody is listening to Vedanta and he says, well, this is my pursuit, moksha, etc. Then parents do not like, siblings may not like, or the spouse may not like. And they also give an example of their parents and all, that they also did not do like this. They lived a life, they never studied this kind of thing and keeping away themselves and all that. And therefore, you should go always by a path which is well beaten, very well beaten track, beaten track. So you should go on a beaten track. You are doing something which is really is not worthy. Pursuing self. I am in a pursuit of self. Yeah, that's a madness. It's a madness. Yeah. So that's how the people think around us. So pratibandha is generally ignorance because one doesn't know oneself. That's how one is looking out. And definitely there is a lack of viveka, etc. also. Let's go to Bhashya. Paranchi, parag anchanti, gachanti iti, khani, tad upalakshitani, श्रोत्रादीनि इन्द्रियाणि खानि इति उच्यन्ते तानि परांचि एव शब्दादि विषय प्रकाशनाय प्रवर्तन्ते यस्मात् एवं स्वाभाविकानि तानि व्यतृणत् हिंसितवान् हननं कृतवान् इत्यर्थः. So now Bhashyakara explains the entire mantra word by word. First word is what? Paranchi. So he will explain first that. Then Khani. Then Vyatronat, etc. All like that. So Paranchi, Parag Anchanti, Gachanti. Anchanti means Gachanti. So they go towards objects which are external to the senses. Who go? Senses. Senses go towards the objects which are external to them. And thank God. Thank God they are doing this. Well, what will be like to see inside? My God. Right? Eyes see colors and forms. External. Those eyes are turned inward, suppose. Then sees what is inside. Just then basically the sense organ called this our organ of smell. Smell something outside. We have a scope what to smell, not to smell. But if it is turned inward, then it will have a smell of what is inside. Horrible. No option. No option. Right? And you will have to, if the ears are turned inward instead of extrovert, then you will hear all the time good, 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 good. They make sound, they say. All organs are functioning, especially heart and all. So they are constantly, very active. So they create a sound. And there is a space inside, so definitely sound will be there. Thank God that otherwise we'll be hearing it all the time. How will you get rid of it? External means you put a plug, cotton plug. So it's nice Bhagavan has made external. Seeing inside, smelling something inside, and tasting something which is inside, my God. So we should be thankful to Bhagavan that they are made external. If they are made external, that is really good. Why Shastra talks it as this extroverted senses as the very pratibandha of gaining knowledge? Something is wrong. Just external may not be wrong, but there is something which will be missing. We'll be seeing that. So anyway, so they are meant to report, of course, all senses are meant to report, a external world. Nice, really. If you are going on the trail here, our, and you find a bear, but it's not there right now. But so immediately senses report, eyes report. You can run, or you are walking and there is a big stone, a rock, let's say. Well, it reports. You get a certain kind of a taste, and you find that this is something very bitter or something very unusual taste is coming. You will immediately throw it out. Maybe some poison. We don't know. Right? It happens. And we hear certain sound of a car passing by. We are walking on the road. Nice. You go on the side then. If you don't hear what is external, what happens? Ram bolo bhai Ram. Literally. So Ishvara has created an external so that we can relate properly. We can relate properly, and so they report basically external world, and so we can live properly, etc. Anyway, so here Shrotradi Paranchi Parang Gacchanti iti Khani. Khani means, as I told you, the apertures. But tad upalakshitani Shrotraadini Indriyani Khani iti uchante. Even the apertures, but Bhashyakara says tad upalakshitani. So that tad upalakshitani means the secondary meaning of this aperture. So what obtains in aperture is the senses. And therefore you can take that secondary meaning, not just take primary meaning of aperture, but the secondary meaning is the sense organs which obtain there. You can take that. So tad upalakshitani shrotradini indriyani. Khani is equal to indriyani in that sense. Khani iti uchyante. तानि परांची एव शब्दादि विषय प्रकाशनाय प्रवर्तन्ते. So, and these senses always engage themselves in the external world alone. For what? Vishaya prakashanaya. Well, for revealing their own respective objects. And that's how the things are. But from the people who go about in the life for getting a well-being and security and peace in life, happiness in life, well, it doesn't look like this is totally okay. This kind of an external, just relating that the senses basically report to you the world. That if that is okay, then well, that is everything is fine. The whole world, I mean, the every human being will become ultimately gain a well-being of oneself, but it doesn't look like. And therefore, well, definitely Bhagwan seems to have committed a mistake. Vyatrunat eva yasmat evam swabhavikani yasmat evam swabhavikani tani vyatrunat himsitavan hananam krutavan ityartha. This is a setup. Swabhavikani means it is a setup. The senses are created and the respective objects are there. Yeah. So like eyes are created out of the element fire, right? Element fire, subtle element, fire. And you that will pick up the objects which are made up of the fire, that is forms, right? Forms. In fact, forms begin with the fire. Yeah. First two elements do not have any form. Akasha and Vayu do not have any form. The first form in the creation, in form of elements, will be a fire. Right? So the colors and forms wherever you are seeing, that's that you are picking up with what? The sense organ which is made up of fire. So it's a setup. right? It's a setup. So basically, but this yasmat evam swabhavikani tani, since the five sense organs are endowed with such an swabhavikani, with such an extrovert nature from the birth itself, will therefore they have been as though destroyed by the creator, by the Ishvara, as though. Or they have Ishvara as though has destroyed the individual, let's say, by making the senses extrovert. So Swabhavikani means extrovert, even though it is a setup, but looks like that the human being is killed by that, being remaining extrovert, etc. So when Bhashyakara explained that Vyatrunat means himsitavan, hananam krutavan. So himsitavan means one who destroys. Swayambhuhu Vyatrunat. So this Parmeshwara has destroyed. Hananam krutavan. Kaha asau Swayambhuhu Parameshwaraha स्वतंत्रो भवति सर्वदा न परतंत्रः इति. So there is to give an example that for this, that what one is really seeking is oneself. We'll be seeing that, don't worry about it, and you know as such what one is seeking is basically oneself only. But anyway, so and still you seek outside. For that they give example of a musk deer, which I have not actually come across in a Google or etc. about musk deer. Such a deer exists or not, I don't know. So they say there is a type of deer, a subspecies of a deer, which it becomes adult will have a some kind of a resin in its navel, and which is very very fragrant. It's so fragrant that the deer itself will basically get fascinated with that. And the deer is looking into the source. Deer is looking into the source of this fragrance. But he himself is a source, but he is looking elsewhere. So musk deer basically it picks up. It goes here and there, runs here and there in order to pick up that source of that fragrance, but it ultimately gives up its life, right? They call hither and thither. So basically, it dies of a mere exhaustion. So same way, we also pick up the fragrance of happiness here and there, right? Here and there, we also pick up fragrance of happiness, fullness, joy here and there, but we don't know the source. And therefore, since they are extrovert, you definitely look into the objects for happiness, etc. So that's how Swayambhuhu Vyatrunat. Swayambhuhu Parmeshwaraha. And Bhashyakara explains this Swayambhuhu Parmeshwaraha. Swayambhuhu means Parmeshwara. Swayambhu generally word is used for Brahmaji, but here Bhashyakara says Swayambhuhu, creator Ishvara, Parmeshwara. Well, he is as though killed. He is as though destroyed this person. And he explains that Swayambhu Shabda. Swayameva Swatantro Bhavati Sarvadana Partantraha, which does not depend upon any other factor for creation, right? He doesn't depend upon any material for the whole creation. He does not depend upon any secondary causes for creation, right? There are secondary causes. There is a material. You may be a creator, but you need material, right? Like a goldsmith he's a creator, of course, but he needs material. He should have a gold, otherwise how will he create ornaments? How will he make ornaments? And not only just gold. He needs a lot of other instruments to make bangles and all that. They are all called secondary causes. All are required. Therefore, this kind of a creator is not swatantraha, right? Goldsmith is not swatantra. He is dependent upon many things, gold and other things. Whereas Ishvara, he Swayambhu, Parameshwara, Swayameva Swatantro Bhavati, Sarvadana Partantraha. He is no way dependent upon any other thing for the manifestation of this world. Or Swayambhu, who means Swayam Bhavanam, who is a self-existent, whose existence is not dependent upon anything. In fact, time, space, and all objects have existence in the self, in the consciousness. And therefore, in that way, you can also take Swayambhu, who is a self-existent. Swayam Siddha, we can say. So, everything other than that is a Paratantra. Unless it knows. Everything also is Brahman. If it knows that I am Brahman, then he says, I am self-existent. Until he knows, he will be Paratantra. So anyway. And so, well, definitely everything is looks upon something else for security and other things also for existence depend upon, and therefore that is not Swatantra because of Ajnanam actually. What is required is Ajnanam. You can also say, I can also say that I am Swatantra, I am Swayambhu, I am Parameshwara, I am Brahman, self-existent Brahman. But I'm not able to say because I say I am this, and this is dependent on many factors, time, space, and everything, right? And therefore, you say, I am Partantra. So, till one knows, one is Partantra. If one doesn't know, if you know you are Brahman, definitely you are Swatantra. You are the cause of the world. You are the cause of. In fact, the real cause is one which lends existence to everything, including time, space, and everything. That's the real cause. Karanam is one which lends existence to Karyam. That way, Karana pervades entire Karyam also. The entire earthen world, pots and pans and, or the elephants and whatever, all depend upon the whole that earthen world depends upon what for existence? Just clay. Clay alone pervades every form. If clay is not there, where is world? Where is earthen world? Right? So therefore, basically, therefore I am Brahman, self-existent Brahman, which and everything is proven existent in I, consciousness, etc. We'll be doing in that meditation also. So anyway, then further Bhashyakara says, Tasmat, further, let's read. Tasmat parang paragrupam anatma bhutan shabdadin pashyati उपलभते उपलब्धा न अंतरात्मन न अंतरात्मानम इत्यर्थः. So tasmat word is there in the moolam itself. Tasmat parang pashyati. That's part he is explaining. Tasmat parang pashyati. So parang pashyati means what? Paragrupan. So paragrupan, anatma bhutan. So paragrupan, every jiva basically, upalabdha means every jiva, every experiencer, every knower. Upalabhate perceives, experiences. What? Paragrupan, parang pashyati, right? Parang means paragrupan, external objects, which are of the nature of what? Non-self, which are inert. Anatma bhutan. Anatma bhutan, paragrupan. And what are they? Shabdadin, Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha, all, right? Shabdadin, Upalabhate, he perceives all of them. Who? Upalabdha, he supplies. Upalabdha, Pashyati means Upalabhate. Janati, perceives, experiences. And then for Upalabdha is what? Experiencer, right? Experiencer experiences, well, various objects in the world through his senses. Indriyehi. Paragrupan Shabdadin Pashyati. Janati. And that's how we always see, the human child. When it is born, senses are no extrovert. Eyes are closed. And even not much hearing also. Unless you make a big sound and just gets up. Otherwise, senses are not functioning. And then it opens up eyes. Now it is able to hear. They do like this. So initially, if you do like this, they won't see at all, as if they are not able to listen. One particular person told me, Swamiji, they were crying. And say, my son's son, my grandson, maybe I think Swamiji looks like, please bless him. It looks like he doesn't have ears because we are doing like this and he doesn't see at all. And we do, even with a lot of noise, still he doesn't hear. So therefore, he's born deaf. I said, no, just wait. And then so eyes open, ears able to start hearing everything. And as an adult, everything he contacts, and then become, you know, middle-aged person, then starts getting other upakaranas. And with the upakaranas, he still sees out external world. And then our time will come with the upakarana also is not able to see, not able to hear, and then leaves the world. This is the story of everyone, right? So anyway, so upalabdha pashyati, janati. Shabdadin vishayan upalabde upalabdha. Na antaratman. Na antaratman. That's in Upanishad. Na antaratmanam. Antaratman is not, but this is a Veda. It has a license. It doesn't go by the rules of our normal Sanskritam. So that's a Vedic license. So na antaratman. Bhashakara quietly says na antaratmanam. We should, antaratman is a, basically it's just a pratipadikam. Antaratmanam pashyati. It's object of pashyati, object of recognition, which should be in a dvitiya vibhakti. So Bhashakara quietly converts na antaratmanam pashyati. So Indriyas basically are designed to perceive external, and this experiencer, this subject, um, doesn't seem to have any alternative for security, well-being, except to search in the external world. To search in external world, well, his senses should be going outward. So the natural pursuit on the part of this subject, the Upalabdha, is with the senses. And who can definitely, and once it relates to the world, he is searching well-being, he is searching security, he is searching objects of happiness. And in turn, well, when he relates to different world, different objects, it will generate a sukha and dukkha, not just sukha, right? Depending upon the response of the upalabdha, sukha dukkha arises. Depending upon the response, why upalabdha gives a different type of a response. He should give a one type of response, or he will have a sukha all the time. No, sir. Upalabdha experience has a number of ragadveshas. So if anything which is conducive to his raga, he will have a joy. But not conducive, well, he will have a dukkham, conducive to raga. If he has a dvesha for a given object and he is experiencing through the senses, he will have a dukkham. And with this sukha dukkha, that experiencer definitely undergoes experiences of prarabdha. Experiences prarabdha. And for the one person itself, basically, the objects of sukha dukkha vary. Yeah, objects of sukha dukkha vary. One person is basically, is waiting for a marital legal separation. One fellow is waiting, and he wants to have a legal separation, marital legal separation from a given person. Another one is waiting to get married with that person. So one and the same person is an object of hatred. The same person is an object of love. And so anyway, so there are, of course, the certain objective unhappy situations are there, like tsunami, cyclone, etc. But while relating to external world, objectively there are certain situations which create which we call unhappy situation that is there. But other than that, on every individual has, depending upon a type of response he gives to the external world, it will generate sukha dukkha for him. But it is sure that entire world, well, will have a swabhavika pravritti for gaining joy by relating in the external world, making the mind senses that the senses are extrovert, and definitely it gives a joy to the person. There is no, we don't know any other source of getting joy other than relating to the world, right? And acquiring or getting rid of objects and becoming happy. Let's go further. एवं स्वभावे अपि सति लोकस्य कश्चित् नद्याः प्रतिस्रोतः प्रवर्तनम् इव धीरः धीमान् विवेकी प्रत्यगात्मानं प्रत्यक्ष असौ आत्मा च इति प्रत्यगात्मा प्रतीचि एव आत्मशब्दः रूढ़ः लोके न न अन्यस्मिन्. So, kashit dhiraha, Upanishad use this word, kashit dhiraha pratyagatmanam aikshat. The dhira shabda is used in a shastra. Even Bhagavan has used this word, dhiraha, very well known in Vedanta. For one who is a viveki, purushartha viveki, he knows what is to be gained in this life. Viveki. In Sahitya also, Sanskrit Sahityam, they use this Dhira Shabda for the person who is courageous, one who has a courage. For that also they use Dhairyam means courage. So one who has a Dhairyam is called Dhiraha. So that is for in the Sahitya, literature. But in Vedanta, Dhira Shabda is used for the one who is doing initially Purushartha Viveka, later Atmanatma Viveka. Yeah. First thing is Purushartha Viveka. That gives a qualification. That Viveka leads to Vairagya, towards external things, material things, right? So therefore, that's called Avruta Chakshuhu. Means basically Vairagya. Anyway. So Dhiraha means Dhiman. So that's a Viveka, which is a cause for not going along with this Swabhavika Pravritti. It is because Swabhavika Pravritti is when you don't give any thought. Yeah. That's how that I said, beaten track. Yeah. Nobody did in our family. Why in this age you have to study Bhagavad Gita? Why? What is wrong with you? Ah, be a normal person. Live a normal life. You didn't know why do you want to study Bhagavad Gita? If you when you become retired, you go. Right now, when you are still not married and you are studying all this, it may happen you may not marry. Then so this is not normal. Normal is what? Yes. There is a joy, happiness, fullness outside in the world. There are places where you go and you see there is a calmness, right? There are things which you acquire in order to become secure, like money, etc. Why for gaining all this? Why pratyekatma? Why? What is this? No, I have a pursuit of the self. Eek, there is something wrong with you. So that is, they are all basically fools. When you don't give a vichara, then this kind of thing is happening. If you analyze properly, then you find that well, these external pursuits are not there, not not real means to gain what I really want in my life, etc. So one is born in external world and survives in external world, exhausts prarabdha karma by these senses which are external. So there is no other way of living well other than this dealing with the world also. But we are not. So when Upanishad says like that, well, that as though the Creator Ishvara has as though destroyed this individual by making this senses external, as if looks like Upanishad is lamenting. Looks like that. Upanishad is lamenting. Upanishad is not lamenting. Yeah, Upanishad is not lamenting at all. And there is, I mean, everybody basically, this, one musician used to tell, a musician, classical musician, who knows Carnatic music. He said, nowadays, nobody cares for this classical music. Hey, you should not tell. You made your career in classical music. You're a musician. Means you care for the music, right? Then why do you say that nobody cares for that? So right, this is called lamentation, basically. Anyway, same way Upanishad looks like or Atma. Atma, that's better. Atma basically laments. Nobody looks towards me. So I am basically fed up now. And, and I can't even die. Atma can't even die also. What to do? I can't go away also anywhere. And therefore, it's a lamentation of Atma. No, 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 no lamentation. Actually, this dhira, this one should have a viveka. What I'm seeking in my life, basically, I'm not going to get it. No matter what I do, where I go, when I go, any place I go, well, actually, when I go, I mean, what I get rid of, etc. This non-acceptability of oneself will not go. If your pursuits are external and thinking that acquiring them or getting rid of certain things, right, relating to the world through your sense is external, and in the pursuit of a well-being in which you accept yourself totally, that day will not come. Upanishad wants to make you recognize what you really want is an acceptance of yourself. Wherever there is a self acceptance, there is a joy. Whenever there is a self non acceptance, self criticism, right? Self loath, that's a moment of sorrow. And you want to get rid of it, right? Therefore, doing something externally, acquiring and getting rid of certain things, well, if you think that the day will come where I will accept totally myself, you will accept totally yourself when you see a full self. Till then, if you are lacking something, you are not going to accept. So that day will not come. Yeah. In order you to recognize that fact, it has been said, Kashchit dhirah pratyagatmanam aikshat. Could you follow now? Ah. Not Upanishad is not lamenting. Upanishad wants to make you see this fact that what you are really searching, that self-acceptance, etc., is basically is only by knowing oneself, by recognizing oneself as a full self. Therefore, it says Kashchit dhirah pratyagatmanam ekshata. And so, I mean, paranjikhani vyatrunat swayambhuhu parang pashyati nacha antaratman. Nobody sees towards oneself. Everybody is looking out ultimately. That's not a words of lamentation. Upanishad wants to warn you that if you really are accepting, if you are really, in search of a self acceptance, then see yourself as a full self. Recognize yourself as full self, like that dhira, right? Like that dhira. So there is no words of lamentation. And so otherwise, every pursuit is like that. In external world, every pursuit is not a total gain. Every pursuit, including pursuit of coming here. Really. When if you come here, you will lose a certain cushion, comfort of your home. Certainly, of course, we provide everything, but I'm just saying. And if you remain in home, you will miss live classes. If you come here for live classes getting benefit, you will miss there. If you eat much, you will definitely get gain the weight. If you don't eat, you will feel weak. So this is how the things are. So there are gain and loss all the time. Somebody says he wants to have a cake as it is. At the same, he wants to eat the cake because the cake was so beautiful, a beautiful art. So he wants to keep as it is. Nice, so we'll keep it as it is. Let's keep it as it is. No, I want to eat also that cake. Yeah. If you start eating it, then the beauty will go away, definitely. This is how the things are. So basically, here it is a viveka that if I want a self acceptance, if I want to see myself as a full self, because whenever I see myself as a full self in the moment of joy, then I have a total self acceptance. No complaint for myself in that moment. No complaint. No complaint for others also, by the way. That I'm coming later, but no complaint for others also. Yeah. Anyway, so you have these moments of seeing yourself as a full self, moments of joy, where you see yourself as a purna, full self. So, and that gives an insight basically to this person who is going to be a dhira. It gives him an insight that, well, in spite of my desires not being fulfilled, in spite of the things externally which is not so conducive, I see here and there, right, some moments where I see myself as a full self. Therefore, it gives an insight. And if that is not there, that I see myself as a full self, how can I ever be happy? Because in a moment of joy, definitely I see myself as a full self without fulfilling anything, desire also. All the desires yet are not fulfilled, yet I see. Therefore, definitely, if that would be the case, intrinsically, I am a lacking person, small person, insignificant person. In that case, I should be small all the way. And if I feel I should be small and I'm a self-conscious, therefore I will always feel also that smallness centered on I. In that case, I will not have a single moment of joy in my life. But that doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen. Everybody has a moment of joy in spite of their external condition. Maybe poverty, maybe richness, maybe external non-conducive situation, maybe conducive situation. At least one goes to sleep and one finds oneself totally with oneself, right? And even such a person who is very miserable, otherwise, if somebody cracks a joke, his friend or anybody, at least laugh for a moment. Then again, he may remember a very bad incident which has occurred in his life, etc., and become sad. That's one thing. But such a person also can become happy by a slapstick joke, by seeing something in the nature. Yeah, even seeing that what is that bluebird and that what red blue jack. My God, beautiful bird. Or any other thing, or even a sunrise. Sometimes I see sunrise so beautiful, which because of certain clouds, it as though it gives a golden lining to the whole, and especially in the evening before sunset. Sometimes it gives a very pinkish whole, becomes pink. Even though I am miserable, but looking at this for a moment, yeah. So that in those moments, I am totally acceptable to myself. Means I don't feel any lack in that moment. Well, opens up a window, right? It gives a window, they call insight. Maybe I am poor. I am of the nature of Ananda. Maybe I am full. So therefore, I am a lacking person, etc. And therefore, to come, to get rid of this lack, I have to acquire many things or get rid of many things from the world. Let me acquire few things. Well, that may not be true. May not be true. Clear? So And then once you have this kind of moments of that becomes a norm of yourself. That in certain moments you accept yourself totally. In other moments you are not accepting yourself. You will have a norm from your a series of experiences. You cannot have a norm when you experience only once. Like if I ask you, how is the coffee? If I give a cup of coffee and I've asked you, how is the coffee? You say, I'm tasting for the first time. You will say that. But if I give you a Gujarat coffee, which in which there's only milk and little coffee, Gujarat coffee, and this South Indian coffee, most of the coffee, little milk, and then there are our what is that coffee, Starbucks coffee, and this coffee and that coffee. If you taste all that, and then if I ask you, well, you have already a norm. You will say, Swamiji, I love that Gujarat coffee because I love soy. Therefore, so my point is, so you have a norm for yourself that I'm not acceptable to myself because you have already experienced a certain moments where you have seen yourself totally acceptable. Could you follow what I'm saying? Could you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So otherwise you can't make a judgment. So anyway, yeah, and several type. I mean, anyway, what's okay. So I am non-acceptable is based on my own norm. That norm is provided to me by myself. Yeah. Right now, how am I? No, I'm not acceptable. Why? Because in there are certain moments where you have seen yourself as a acceptable. Otherwise, you cannot have this norm. Society doesn't provide this norm that you are not acceptable to yourself. I superimpose upon society actually. Society accepts me. So I superimpose upon society that society should accept me. If society accepts me, then I will accept myself. And society has a social norms. Social norms are what? When they will accept you. If you have a wealth, if you have a good education, if you have a good looks, or if you have a certain position, or if you have an influence, that is society's norm. Society says, do you have all this? No, not acceptable. When society rejects you, you reject yourself. Yeah, that's what is happening. And even I'm sure the social norms have been there even in the past. Our ancestor also were basically having this kind of a social norms, maybe a little different. In those days, well, the person who may be having a lot of cattle is definitely acceptable person in the society. Maybe like that, right? Or maybe having a lot of land will be acceptable person. Anyway, so basically now oh, what happens is I should have a norm. In fact, I am having a norm for myself that this is what I am and this is not acceptable to me. But generally, it doesn't happen that way. We always look out for acceptance of ourselves. So, who is the person to? There should not be a other person should not tell you to accept yourself. I mean, who are they to tell us that you accept yourself? In fact, what happens is you validate them. Yeah. Because you may say that Swamiji, you don't have this qualities, and therefore, well, we are not comfortable with you, right? And therefore, I will reject immediately. But I should validate your words. I should accept you as a very responsible person, etc. Then only I will take your words seriously. So first I validate you, then you validate me. This is what is happening. Could you follow what I'm saying? If I don't give any validation to your words, then what does it matter? May you speak, you may speak, but it doesn't, I don't look upon myself acceptable or non-acceptable based on your judgment. But basically, first I validate you. I accept you as whose words are very profound, very responsible words. And then whatever you say, I accept it. And based on your norm, then I say, I am acceptable to myself or not. That's how it happens. In fact, everyone validates a psychotherapist. Oh, this is Swamiji. This psychotherapist is really good. No, he gives a good treatment. That's your validation. Your acceptance. And then that psychotherapist validates you. It's a catch-22, in fact. It's a catch-22 situation. So basically, if you require anybody's approval in your life, you can't be free. You can never gain freedom. And therefore, you cannot become objective also. So you don't need anybody's approval. And then I can be totally objective. I can be totally free. So you require to have this kind of a dhairyam. Well, you have dhirasya bhava, this viveka. The fact that I am not able to accept myself reveals the fact that I have insight about acceptability. There is some insight about acceptability. In a moment of joy, I accept myself. Other than that, I don't accept myself. So for acceptability, you have a norm, right? Could you follow what I'm saying? You have a norm that whenever I don't feel a lack, well, I'm acceptable to myself. Or in a moment of joy, I am acceptable to myself. So basically, my experiences being happy with myself, well, includes being happy with others also. And then living in this, well, same world, you are happy. Living in the same world, you have a, I mean, then there are people for whom you don't care. There are people who try to judge you. All these things are happening. But if you have this kind of insight that the acceptability, I mean, the norm for the acceptability is based on me, not anybody else. In that case, the people, you are surrounded by many people who are trying to judge you, who are trying to make you unhappy, who are trying to pass on judgments about you. Still you will not deter from that, actually. So in spite of being there, if you are happy, you can see that they are there surrounding you, yet you find yourself a very happy person, means they really don't contribute to your happiness nor to your unhappiness, basically. They remain where they are. So in spite of people, in spite of your health limitations, in spite of your educational qualification limitations, in spite of your sensory limitations, in spite of your parentage limitations, in spite of your memory limitation, in spite of your money limitations, well, in spite of all of them, you can be happy just by seeing a child who is playing here, suppose, lying on the bed, playing, and the child is happy, and you see the child and you become happy. Means the situation can be anything. Well, so definitely, I should not fix up anything outside. I have to fix up something here. This is a a birth of a viveka in a person. That person is called dhira. Kashit. One in thousands, one in millions, one in many will definitely. And then such a person will have a shubhecha. Maybe I am a solution for what I am seeking. I was thinking that making an external situation in such a fashion that if well, that will make me comfortable, that will make me happy, or association with so and so person makes me happy. Well, that is not the case. To be happy or unhappy, to be acceptable to myself or not, well, I am only the measuring rod, right? So I am the problem, I am the solution. That is what it is. And therefore, I'm looking at the things wrongly. So that is how it is pratibandha. Extrovertedness, looking out for becoming secure, for becoming for gaining fullness, etc. Well, that is the pratibandha. That's called extroverted. Not senses are external. That's a problem. The conclusion on your part that through senses, let me contact the world and gain a well-being of me, gain fullness, gain security. That conclusion on your part in your head is an obstacle. Therefore, said Kaschit Dhiraha Pratyagatmanam Aikshat. Such a Viveki definitely is looking to himself now. It takes a lot of course, understanding, and it doesn't need a lot of years of experience. It doesn't need that your hair should turn gray. Swamiji, we learned after number of years. We have a big career in this and that, and therefore we have learned this. No, it doesn't have any bearing. It all depends upon your viveka, just viveka, nothing else. And then what happens is a avritta chakshu. Now, for gaining security or for your well-being, fullness, etc., you definitely look to yourself. Your journey, inward journey begins as though. Yeah. So you have avritta chakshu. Now, your senses are no more looking outward for all these things, security and all. No. Because the Viveka is born already. That the solution is me alone. If I am not solution and solution is lying outside and still I have not fixed up the problem, in that case, I should never be a happy person. But if I find a happy person in spite of not fulfilling desires, I have not acquired the objects, etc., from the world, yet I find myself comfortable self here and there, with some experiences here and there. Maybe perhaps I may not be aware of myself totally, right? And therefore, amrutatvam icchan, now desiring this moksha, well, the person becomes introvert. So we'll see that avruta chakshu, etc. Person will have a dispassion for sense objects. This is a dispassion. For running the life, you have to contact the world. Yeah. For protecting your life, for sustaining your body and everything, you have to contact the world, definitely. But for gaining security, for gaining fullness, for your well-being, which you want in your life, well, world is not a solution. Sense objects are not solution. When this viveka is born, there will be automatically a dispassion for the external world. That's how avruta chakshu. Dhiraha viveka. Avruta chakshu vairagya. Amrutattam icchan pratyagatmanam aikshata, etc. So desiring moksha, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, ये करना है, वो करना है, etc. This is to be done, that is to be done. All krutyam, they call it in Sanskritam. Krutyam. Krutyam is this. This is to be done, that is to be done, etc., etc. Well, they always say, they have some saying, life is short and there are miles to go and things to do. Not time to stand and stare. Yeah, that's very popular phrase here. Anyway, somebody told also, Swamiji, there are endless fears to contribute to the world. ये करो, वो करो, ये करो, ये organization में आप कुछ करो, वो करो. So if they are to be done and you become happy, well, definitely that fulfillment never comes, right? Even if you fulfill those projects, fulfillment doesn't come. You fulfill projects, you complete them, but fulfillment doesn't come. Fulfillment is your goal. That's where your well-being is. That's where your self-acceptance is. Self-acceptance is when I see myself as a fulfilled person. That full self one has to know. That in that sense, this is pratibandha, looking outward for that purpose. Clear now? Well, this is what it means. Anyway, further we'll see later. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.